This is The Healthy Healer, where true voice is your medicine. This is where we help doctors and other healers navigate through the challenging times by learning from the best minds in the healing industry. Laugh, cry, and be surprised. It's entertainment, education, and inspiration so you can continue to be the unique and amazing healer you were destined to be. Welcome to humanity. Welcome to The Healthy Healer with Dr. Fred.
Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Fred, and welcome to the short associated with my conversation earlier with Dr. George Ackerman. Dr. Ackerman is an advocate. That's what he calls himself. When he has to pick up one word answering the question, who are you? It was the word advocate. And you can hear that in all of his professional choices and really who he's been as a human. He's an advocate for his children, for certain. He's also an advocate for victims of crimes and their families. And he's also been an advocate in the courtroom as an attorney, as well as on the streets as a policeman. So eventually he's become a doctor and even written his thesis on this and as a PhD. And now he's an advocate for Parkinson's disease, and not the essence of Parkinson's disease, but in actually finding the cure for Parkinson's disease now, like Parkinson's disease now. So it's very important to take into consideration how he became an advocate and how he is now left with Parkinson's disease. Sorry for having trouble saying that. Parkinson's disease being his focus. So this is how it is. His mom has Parkinson's disease, and he ended up being the primary caregiver. And he, in his very hands, while he was taking care of his mom, watched the deterioration of the condition from its initial stages all the way through to the very end until she died fairly recently. And he's learned that something can and should be done to assist this condition. He knows very well about some of the advances that are taking place with other people's work. He is also an advocate for the Michael J. Fox Foundation and has now become a Parkinson's advocate as his primary function, as his primary focus in life. This is what he does now. So he's written a book on it. He's got other books that he's writing, 4 new books that are in the hopper at this point, ready to be released in the next several months, including a children's book and including a book that really talks about people who have lost people to Parkinson's and really helps them. So he's not just an advocate for the people who have the condition, but for the impact that it has on all the other people around the people who have the condition. What happens when life takes you off your primary focus? You're asked, what are you going to do with your life? And then in school, at some point, maybe in college, you make a decision and you head off in that direction. And I know for me, I had multiple different directions I was considering. There was political science, there was music, there was sociology, there was chemistry, there was mathematics, there was engineering school. Many of those things were considerable options, including computers. And I eventually dropped all those options and quit school altogether and then came out. And what happened is that I learned that I really loved talking to people and that I could actually have a job and make a vocation or an avocation out of communication. Once I realized that, and led at least a little bit by the fact that my brother was already a psychiatrist, and I was interested in learning how to communicate to help others and in my own way be an advocate for others and optimizing people's lives through profound and robust human connection through conversation. I decided that I would go back to school for the 3rd time, and this time use my communication skills to help people in the goal of optimizing people's lives. So I went back to school, finished my undergraduate degree, and then went to medical school with the sole intention of becoming a psychiatrist. Since that time, I've had several shifts as well. I was a psychiatrist, and when I came out, was typecast to being the psychiatrist of the ages. The idea was that while I was in medical school and in residency, the whole field had shifted to now being one that was based on diagnosis and based on medication rather than being based on conversation. In fact, over time, the difference between a psychiatrist and all mental health workers really was that psychiatrists didn't have conversations necessarily. They just did the primary diagnosing and medicating. And that if you really wanted to go to a mental health professional and have talk therapy or the capacity to converse with somebody to stabilize or rebalance a life that was either out of balance or unstable, then you would go to a different type of ancillary profession in the mental health field. I since have shifted again. And at that time, I became a coach. And then I became a coach so that I didn't, in some ways, have to take on the typecast notion that I was there to simply diagnose and medicate. And I began to work with people outside the medical field as a coach, as a transformational restorative coach, thereby earning the name The Undoctor, and also writing a few books, Finding Your True Voice and The Creative 8. So the Creative 8, Healing Through Creativity and Self-Expression, and Find Your True Voice, which was using podcasting as a general template for a place to actually speak our truth, and in that process, create an opportunity for people to optimize their lives through listening and learning and re-educating and rediscovering who their core self is, so that they can step into that core self and have proper conversations with others, and in the process, create healing. So for me, that was a transformation. It was a transformation that life served up to me. I listened to the life, and then I shifted my direction a little bit to become an entrepreneurial, transformational, restorative coach. Since that time, I have now returned back to being a psychiatrist, and I no longer am typecast to simply diagnose and medicate. I'm now here to listen, to create powerful conversations, as we could say a psychotherapist or a coach or a mentor or a facilitator or a partner or a leader in helping people optimize their lives through the best medicine we've ever discovered for humanity, which is getting involved and being connected with another human being. I ask you, where in your life has life taken you down a certain road? And now, if you think about it, you are headed in a direction that is a little bit different than what you came in thinking that you were doing, but you're headed now as a healthy direction because it's aligned with who you are as your core self. Rediscovering your core self and then following the pathway sometimes takes a nudge from the universe. Sometimes you're faced with trials and tribulations, and then you have to make new decisions and new direction points. And then hopefully you become closer and closer to being aligned with that core self. That's what happened to me. That's clearly what happened to Dr. Ackerman. And it's really fantastic to watch somebody who is now making a difference in the area of life that really matters to him. I'm doing that. Are you? Is it time for you to listen closely to the life that's happening to you so that you can step into what you really came here for rather than what you thought you came here for? Think about that. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for being a listener of The Healthy Healer. If you've really enjoyed this show and the show we had earlier this week as much as I have in delivering it, I invite you to share or to comment, or at least to the show itself. And then beyond that, please subscribe, because that's what gets people like you to be able to listen and watch these important messages being given. Thanks again. I love you, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.